So today we are going to see how to materialize objects in Unity. I'm Gabriel Aguiar, currently working on Rabbit's Tail, links below for more, and I'm going to show you one way to materialize any kind of object. It could be for spawning an enemy drone or simply a weapon, for example. It's pretty cool and not that hard. We are going to use VFX Graph and Shader Graph. So without further ado, let's jump right into this, and if you want to get access to this project, it's all available on my Patreon page, where there's plenty of assets and projects for you. So in my scene I have this base where the weapon or the drone or any object is going to materialize itself. I made it in Blender very quickly, and basically there is two parts to this effect. The first one is where the object materializes itself, and the second part we see the final mesh, the final object. Both are done via VFX Graph. So let's go ahead and create a visual effect graph with right click. I'm going to rename it to VFX Graph underscore object to materialize underscore tutorial, and I'm going to drag and drop this to my scene and then press the edit button to open VFX Graph. And from here now, basically we want only one mesh, only one object at a time. So up here, instead of a constant spawn rate, I'm going to use a single burst of one particle. Here we go, only one particle. Let me just switch the bounds mode to manual. And another thing that we already know is that we are definitely going to spawn an object. So down here in the renderer, in the output, we want to drag a line and search for output particle URP lit mesh. URP because I'm in universal render pipeline, and lit because I want this to be influenced by light. And if you don't see it, you can go to edit and in preference. In visual effects you can turn on experimental operators / blocks, by the way. We can delete this output particle quad, and as you can see we have an input for a mesh. It's spawning a capsule right now, but we want to spawn our object. So let's create a property, a mesh property, and call it the mesh to materialize, and connect it right here, and then select the mesh we want. I'm gonna select the gun, which is from the asset store, by the way. And there is one very important thing that you must do, which is turn on read/write in your mesh, and then press apply, and you are good to go. So down here now I'm going to control the size of this because it's very small, and it's useful to control the size of the materializing objects. I'm also going to create a float mesh size, for example, in my case 1.7, it's a good value. And as you can see, the rotation is not correct. So to fix this, we can go up here. In the initialize particle, we can use a set angle. And then create a vector tree and call it the mesh rotation. Connect it, and in my case, I already know that it's -90 in the X and 90 in the Z axis, and it will face correctly and it will be properly rotated. The only thing now wrong with this is that it has velocity. We don't need. We can delete this block, and we can already say that the lifetime is going to be constant. In my case, 3 seconds. It's the build up, by the way, the amount of time it takes to materialize the object, 3 seconds. But as you can see, it is not very well centered. This may happen as well in your case. If it happens, you can go down here in the output particle and use a set pivot block. With this, you can offset your mesh to the right position. For example, in my case, -0.25, it will center the submachine gun with the base. And if you want to rise this up to animate this in the y-axis, you can go to the update particle, use a set position, and we are simply going to change the y, for example, with a sample curve. We are going to sample a curve, which is going to go from 0 to 1, exactly like this. Or like this curve, for example. It will slow down towards the end. For the time, it's very simple. We are going to use the age over lifetime, basically the lifetime of the mesh, in this case 3 seconds. And now the trick is to multiply this with a float. And we are able to control how high it will get, how high it will rise the object in this case. Compile this, press play. As you can see, it's rising up and it slows down towards the end. Awesome. And if you increase this value, it will go higher. You can create a float as well for this if you want, for the mesh position Y or mesh Y position. I'm gonna leave it at 1, the default value, or 1.25. Alright, so looking good. One last thing we can do before using a shader to materialize this is add a little bit of rotation. And since it is something continuous, we can use it in the update particle block as well and search for an add angle. In this case, I'm gonna add a very small value like 0.5 in the y-axis, and this will slowly rotate upwards. So we have the motion, we have the size, it's looking awesome. You can create a float for this if you want to, but the most important part is the fact that we can use a shader for this. And with the shader we can do a lot of things. For example, we can fake the sensation of materializing an object. I'm gonna show you a very simple shader, but this can get wild. I recommend you to check out my channel to learn more about shaders. So, right click and we can go ahead and create a blank shader graph or a lead shader graph. I'm gonna call it the Materialize Shader, double click to open it up, and it needs a target. In this case the target is going to be universal in the graph inspector. And down here I'm gonna turn on support VFX Graph. If you don't see this, that's because you are in an older version. I'm using 2021, but in the active targets you can say it's visual effect. Great, so we have this empty canvas, our shader, and we can do anything we want. First, let's create a color because we want to play with the color, right? And connect it to the base color, as simple as this. I'm gonna say it's HDR, the mode, so we can play with the intensity, and with the default color of white, and alpha at 100. And then, we can, for example, create a noise, a procedurally generated noise, with a scale of 40, and connect it to the alpha. And then if we create a float and call it clip and say that the mode is a slider from 0 to 1 and connect this to the alpha clip threshold, we have made a very basic dissolve shader. We only need to go to the graph settings and turn on alpha clipping, and if we save this, go back to our VFX graph and assign the shader we just created, we are now able to, let me play and pause this, as you can see, play with the clip to dissolve this away. We are going to give it a materializing effect in a moment, but for now this is a great step. The way we animate this value once again is with a curve, a sample curve. We can say the curve, for example, it goes from 0 to 1, but in this case we want to do the opposite and go from 1 to 0. You can right click on this key down here. If we connect the age over lifetime, which is basically the age of the mesh, which is 3 seconds, and connect this to the clip, if you play this, it will start completely dissolved, and then it will kind of start materializing itself. Let's just, for example, select an orange color and increase the intensity so it starts really bright like this. Okay. And we are going to improve this a little bit more. This is the basis, but our next step is to spawn the final mesh, and it's actually not that hard. For example, in this update particle, we can say we want to trigger an event on die, and the count is 1, by the way. Basically, whenever this mesh is destroyed, we want to spawn something, in this case the final mesh. So we are going to cheat a little bit by copying this whole particle system, Ctrl+C and then Ctrl+V. We are going to drag a line from the trigger event on die, select GPU event, and connect this to the initialized particle. And now every time this SMG gets destroyed, it will spawn another one. In this case, the exact same one. So let's fix that. For example, we don't need to set position, we are going to inherit. That's the great advantage of using a trigger event. We can inherit values from the parent. Let's remove this, We also don't need the trigger event on die. These nodes can go away. And down here we want none for the shader. We are going to create one in a moment. We can also remove these nodes. And now up here we also don't want this to have a rotation. We want to inherit that value, so it spawns exactly with the same rotation. And to spawn with the exact same position, we can inherit the source position. We inherit the source angle and the source position. By inheriting these two values, whenever the first mesh dies, the second one will have the exact same position and rotation, which is wonderful. Because now we can make sure that this weapon looks ready to pick up. Down here, well, we don't have a shader. The default shader only has smoothness, metallic, and a base color map. If you have normal maps in your model, or an emission map, or an ambient occlusion map, you cannot use it here. So basically you need to create a PBR shader with shader graph. Fortunately, I already have one created. You can pause this video and copy. It's a very basic PBR shader. The first part is the albedo. It's a texture. We are sampling a texture and multiplying with a color. And connecting this to the base color. Then we have smoothness and metallic floats, a range between 0 and 1. And in my case, this model came with an emission map. So I have created a sample texture 2D to sample the emission map. I have multiplied this with the emission color, and then I'm adding a Fresnel effect. So it glows all around the mesh. It's basically multiplying with a color, so you can control the color of the Fresnel. Once you add this to the emission map, you can connect this to the emission input. And basically, if you wanted to connect a normal map, you could, for example, create a texture 2D, call it the normals, right? Sample this and connect it to the normals input, and that's it. If you want to control the normal strength, you could do it by searching normal strength and connecting the sample texture 2D to this node, and you will have the strength input to control how much normals you want. And so on as well for the ambient occlusion and other properties. But once you have this basic setup with the albedo and with the emission, you can go ahead and assign it here to the final mesh. And as you can see, we have pretty good looking SMG. Obviously this needs to be worked to create a punchy feeling, a more interesting result than simply replacing one with the other. For example, in my case, I need to assign the emission map, increase the emission color, and as you can see, those red parts are glowing. You can adjust the smoothness, metallic properties, and for the Fresnel, if you want this to be bright at the beginning, you can basically create a color property for the Fresnel color, right? I'm going to quickly select an orange and increase the intensity. But the trick is to multiply this with a sample curve, as we have done previously. If you sample a curve, say it goes from 1 to 0, but push the last key to more or less 0.4 or 0.5, so it glows only in the beginning, and then connect the age of a lifetime, you can then multiply this with the Fresnel color. And you will have an intense glow in the beginning, and then it will fade away, leaving only the final mesh. Awesome. Now it's all a matter of improving this. For example, down here you can add a set size over life to create a punch scale. Imagine you have a curve, a linear curve, and then you add a key more or less around here, and in the beginning it's big, and then you can add a few more keys to create this bouncy curve. You also need to set this to multiply instead of overwrite, and what will happen is that you will have this punch scale in the beginning of the final mesh. So this is the core of the effect. There's a lot of things that we can improve. I'm going to show you one more. For example, in our shader, we can create a different type of materializing effect, of dissolving effect, by simply using a UV node. And if we split this and use the G channel connected to a 1-, so this gradient is inverted, and if we multiply this with a simple noise and connect it to the alpha, depending on the UVs, we are going to get a materializing effect from the bottom to the top, which did not happen now because I am using the UV0 channel, but if I switch it to UV1 channel, I have a different UV map. Where I have a different UV map, the effect now will be from the bottom to the top, as if it was materializing itself. As you can see, it goes from the bottom to the top only because I have switched the UV map. These UVs, since it is a model imported from the Unity Asset Store, I went to Blender, I imported the mesh, the FBX mesh, and if, for example, I open the UV editor, this is the UVs it comes with. And the idea is to create a new UV map, a new UV channel. And on this UV channel, we can, for example, press 1 in numpad so we can have the front orthographic view. And from here, press U to unwrap the mesh based on the projection from view. The UVs are extremely important for this, and as you can see now, by switching the UV channel, we get an effect from bottom to top. And then I obviously added a few more things like a quick explosion, a quick impact before the final mesh appears, some rays as well that goes from the bottom to the top, and a few more particles. But at least now you have the core idea and you can materialize any object you want. And if you want to get your hands on this project and see how I did these effects, it's all available on my Patrons page, links below, and you will get access to many other projects and assets that you can use. Talking about Patreon, I want to say thank you to each patron for supporting me, and a quick shout out goes to the top tier patrons, which are 3D Sorcery, Austin Schneider, Aviat Tobali, Aya Pranyama, Berk Chavasholgu, Cluddy, Rubidubidu, Diego Marco, Duke Williams, Duitran, Edward Chai, George, Gilles Walter, Giuseppe Monfregula, Goblin Plague, Guilherme Trindade, KC Miller, Canon Anselm, Maxim, Mark Anum, Mateus Bragança, Mograph Tech, Nat Sims, Nyang Yung, Oitsk, Pradeep Sen, Quentin Journo, Radioactive Bullfrog, Revenant Games, Chown G, Steven, T. Megal Brown, Unknown SX, Vel, Verisuta, Will Use, Will Poilin, and Ingo Das. A special thank you goes to each one of you, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. To everyone who watched this, I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.